The worst pandemic in 100 years, small businesses shutting down everywhere, Americans draining their life savings away, Americans going hungry and dying from this horrible virus. And what is Congress doing? Refusing to help unless they can fold in goodies for their political cronies and donors. The only help they provide is for corporate America, Wall Street, and the big banks. It is an abomination. A bipartisan, bicameral group unveiled a $908 billion stimulus proposal on Tuesday in an effort to break the legislative stalemate as the virus surges throughout the country, CNBC reports. It aims to address the expiration of key economic aid programs, including an unemployment insurance extension. Great, more monopoly money. That'll fix things, anything to keep power and help the rich. This time, however, the country is close to bankruptcy. Hyperinflation and revolution, here we come. It's going to be a real dark winter for all of 2021. Why don't they send stimulus money directly to people and small businesses? The last two bills did almost nothing for American citizens. They were focused almost exclusively on corporations. No stimulus checks, but corporate protection to allow for the abuse of their employees. Also no tax breaks credits for frontline workers. With this bill, 90% of the money goes to corporations, big businesses, and the government. Say no and let your Congress critters know where you stand. Our economy is consumer-driven, and the longer they wait for a stimulus bill for the people, the longer it will take the economy to return to normal. Money should be given to the people. Directly to the people. We will pick the winners and losers. And yes, many of the big corporations and big businesses have a chance of failing. So be it. Let them use up their capital like the people are having to. This is a bipartisan bill bringing the same old thing. They simply dropped the total amount. A corporate bailout is not going to help, and big business knows that. They can't move their stock without someone to buy it. The pandemic is the straw that broke the camel's back. The Hail Mary. Airlines don't need handouts, that is why we have equity markets. But politicians are investing in equities, so they need to do what they can to help. Their timing is impeccable, by the way. They could all run hedge funds, very smart people. Locking down entire districts, preventing people from earning a living, and allowing them to be thrown into the street because they are financially ruined by government action is tyranny. At the end of December, millions of Americans will lose unemployment benefits. Plus, landlords can resume evicting people. 17 million Americans are already behind on mortgage or rent payments. People will have nowhere to live and nothing to eat. If instead of bailing out corporations, every American could have received $27,000 in Christmas. This bill does zero to the people. Next comes foreclosures on homes. Already across the nation, massive lines develop at food banks every day. If corporations are people, they should use their savings to weather the economic storm, just like all the other people have too. Or maybe they could get a one-time check for $1,200 to pay rent for the next 6 months. If the government would just stay the hell out of everybody's business, then a pandemic relief plan wouldn't be necessary. The only entity that needs to go out of business is the government, because that alone would contribute to freedom and liberty more than anything else. We don't need more stimulus, we need less handouts. This bill is nothing but a state and local government bailout. A vote harvesting by the politicians. Welcome back to the Atlantis report. You are here for your daily dose of the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Please take a second to click the like button. As many of you have asked me about where they can buy silver and gold bullion. You will find in the description box the links where you can buy American Silver Eagle, silver bars, and rounds. I highly recommend that you too start stacking some silver bullion for the future. Congress should have required businesses to file for bankruptcy protection amid the pandemic versus just throwing tax dollars in the form of forgivable loans at them. Chapter 11 allows businesses to continue to operate. All of this money being thrown at businesses goes straight to the national debt. It's the individual taxpayers who make the payments. Even more strange, this new proposal completely ignores stimulus payments to individuals. There are no longer any market forces at work in the US. Those with access to the unlimited free money use it to buy the assets of those without access to free money. The Fed prints trillions and it flows to the canyons of Wall Street, and the middle class is on the hook for the debt, because too big to fail means just that. Graft soaking the taxpayers again. The elite are leeches sucking off the blood of your fellow Americans. The pace of all this money. This is your slavery, your chains, forming in real time. All this money doesn't come from them. It doesn't come from the hoarded treasuries of royals or the bank accounts of old money. It doesn't come from the philanthropists and billionaires. Nope. No way. But all of them have some way of being involved in the causes or the skimming of funds. No, all this money comes from you and generation after generation after you. This is your slavery, and that of your children and their children and their children, if they are allowed to even have any. If there's a new way, I'll be the first in line. But it better work this time. This is the road to serfdom. Create a problem, get the desired reaction, and offer a solution they can't refuse. Feudalism is the name of the game. They want us off of their land. States need to pass mortgage knockdown laws again. Pump and dump Federal Reserve at work. Consolidation of all property into feudal estates is the name of the game. Banks have zero money loaned out. 99% is bank multiplier money from thin air. The average age of farmers is near 60, and around here there are plenty in their 70s and 80s. Many of the farmers want to retire but can't because they sent their kids to college, and the kids refuse to take over the farm. They would rather hang out in the big city with their clean air-conditioned desk jobs and, the most important thing, the social life. Even if they get laid off, as many are, as things change, they won't go back to the farm. All societies show pretty similar symptoms when close to death. Massive corruption, huge wealth gap, money debasement, etc. If Western society was a sick old dude, the doctor is telling us to get our affairs in order. We already have a $4 trillion deficit this year, and they want to add another $3 trillion. We have increased the national debt by 36%, and we are about to kill the dollar with inflation. $908 trillion is apparently a drop in bucket for Wall Street. Billion is the new million. Soon a trillion will be the new billion. Quadrillions may soon be talked about like nothing could be more normal. We are being Weimarized, collectivized. Hotels and motels and restaurants are to be devastated further this December as CNN, AT&T calls for a cancellation of Christmas. All private businesses soon to be boarded up. All soon to be sold to the waiting vultures for pennies on the dollar. No travel for Christmas 2020. No family gatherings. Gavin Newsom, to further kill Christmas starting today for 40 million Californians, has forbidden anyone from traveling over 150 miles or they get a mandatory quarantine. No over the hill to grandma's. When the lockdown dust settles, the usual vultures will fly in to buy up all the real estate, the bankrupted privately owned Marriotts and Cannery Row restaurants, pennies on the dollar, just as they did in banker-destroyed Weimar Germany. And we demonize and laugh at the Germans. For what? For being victimized? He who laughs loudest this time laughs last into a silent scream, forever. I weep for my country, this once miracle bastion of freedom on earth. This cornucopia of goodness and plenty being stripped to the bone. Extinguished. How I loved her. God forgive us our stupidity. The elites hate to destroy the US to achieve their NWO. They need to disarm the citizens and finish off the Constitution. But the financial destruction will happen like many times before. Create inflation, they control the currency. Let it crash and buy all hard assets from the people for pennies on the dollar while the economy is imploding. They will get extremely rich on the way down. The rest is losing everything. It seems like an economic meltdown is not far away anymore. They need to cover up their deeds. Super rich have superpower. They own virtually everything. The super rich love inflation and the money printing that generates it. They always get first use of money. Newly printed money becomes less valuable over time, so the first users always get max benefit from it. As they spend it, inflation rises, making it less valuable. By the time it eventually trickles down to Main Street, it's worthless. Why do they want inflation? Because sale or down people in the street have very little money. So, they will gouge the people and call it inflation, to get what's left. Works for them, all they do is lie and steal from us anyway. Globalist Wall Street investors are making more money now than they ever have by way of grand theft. Just sell the inflation angle. Is their new battle cry. Regulation and law enforcement is under their thumb. Inflation is totalitarian control, everywhere. It's like taxes, to devalue what you earn. They love inflation because it makes the poor poorer and the rich richer. It's only possible due to fiat currency, which will inevitably, eventually, historically, collapse. No wonder the super rich love MMT, money printing and Keynesian giveaways of freshly printed currency. Inflation makes them richer while it makes everyone else poorer. The uber rich love inflation, not because it crushes the poor, who always get government checks and government freebies, but because it crushes, erases, and deletes the middle and working class. Inflation reduces purchasing power of those who work for their money. Inflation doesn't do too much to the free money the poor get from the government. The government just indexes the free checks to inflation (CPI) anyway. Kill the middle and working classes. That's what it's all about. Classic third world, a few at the top, everyone else at the bottom. No one in the middle. And when all this stimulus and moratoriums end, the dung's really going to hit the fan. I expect 2022 will become hell on earth, both in the markets and in the economy that will follow. I'm sure that's what their plans are. Creating the greatest stock market and economic collapse our world has ever seen coming in 2022. Starving Americans made jobless by the pandemic facing eviction for the holidays, and Congress goes on vacation until next year. Have a holly jolly Christmas. This Christmas, don't forget to give money to food banks if you are financially able. This was the Atlantis report. Please like, share, leave me a comment, subscribe. And please take some time to subscribe to my backup channels. I do upload videos there too. You'll find the links in the description box. You will also find a PayPal link if you want to make a donation. Thank you wholeheartedly to all those of you who have donated. Stay safe and healthy, friends.